Excellencies, dear friends, I had only been in office for 4 days back in December 2019 when I first met David Harris. I had the honor to just been appointed the Commission Vice President for the first time in charge of a new portfolio of promoting our way of life, bringing together our most anthropocentric policies, including, and this not by accident, not by chance, the fight against anti-Semitism. David was one of my first visitors. He came to my office with a very clear and compelling ask. He told me, look, for our parents and grandparents, Europe was hell. Make Europe again a place where Jews can feel safe and proud to belong. At the time, I could only give David a promise. But 2 years later, when I met your new, dynamic, charismatic CEO, Ted Deutsch, I was able to give him more than that. I gave him a strategy. In October 2021, we presented a new comprehensive EU strategy, the first ever, to fight against anti-Semitism and promote Jewish life in Europe. A strategy which was a defining moment for the European Union, a strategy that was welcomed unanimously by our heads of state and government of all our 27 member states. Our commitment and our blueprint was to address some of the most pressing challenges of our time: ensuring the security of Jewish communities in Europe, tackling online anti-Semitism, promoting Holocaust remembrance, and teaching future generations about Jewish life and history. The EU strategy simply aims at bringing an end to anti-Semitism in Europe. But to do that, we must not leave any blind spots. That's why our work is firmly rooted in the International Holocaust Remembrance Alliance definition of anti-Semitism as a tool to detect the various For us, the definition is a tool to detect the various contemporary forms of anti-Semitic bias, and I would like to take this opportunity to thank wholeheartedly AJC and its Transatlantic Institute in Brussels for being an active and trusted partner from the moment of its inception and now in its implementation. At the heart of our strategy is not only to endorse the IHRA definition, but also to adopt action plans in each member state against anti-Semitism. We already have 14 national governments that have adopted such plans. Austria was the first one, and I'm very happy that my colleague Caroline Edstall is here with us, and she will give us more detail in a moment. But we also called, next to these national plans, to have in all member states, in each member state, a national envoy on anti-Semitism. I'm very happy that these envoys are now operational across the European Union, and I'm particularly happy that the United States have now their own envoy in Ambassador Liebestad. It's a great, great achievement. Dear friends, for us Europeans, standing up against anti-Semitism and ensuring that Jewish life can continue to flourish in Europe is much more than a policy objective. It's a historic duty. Preserving the memory of the Shoah is the cornerstone of the unprecedented peace project that the European Union is all about. This morning, I visited Yad Vashem. I was overwhelmed by the sense of our generation's great responsibility towards the memory of the 6 million Jews murdered in the Holocaust, towards the last survivors, and towards future generations. It's this same feeling that I experienced recently in Brussels, when President Herzog in a historic address to the plenary of the European Parliament, managed to describe the inconceivable terror of Shoah through the story of one man, a compatriot of mine, a Greek Jew, Daniel Rachmanin. He was, at the time, the only Jew on a remote island, the island of Leros. And yet, the fury and the obsession of the Nazis was such that they sent a ship all the way to Leros to hunt him down and send him to the death camps. Today, also as a native of Thessaloniki, a city universally known as the Madre de Israel, the Jerusalem of the Balkans, as a Greek and as a European, I'm humbled and honored to be your guest here, the State of Israel, to affirm the European Union's steadfast determination to preserve the memory and learn the lessons of the darkest chapter of Europe's history. The European Commission will co-finance the development of the new educational center of the Valley of Communities in Yad Vashem to make sure that the stories of European Jews during the interwar years and their immense contribution in our society and in our civilization are passed to the next generation. And with the adoption of the United States National Strategy to combat anti-Semitism, we now have a historic opportunity to step up our trilateral transatlantic cooperation and lead global efforts to fight anti-Semitism. And that this is an opportunity, dear friends, that we cannot afford to waste. Not when we see anti-Semitism and hatred around us take new, vicious forms. Not when we witness Kremlin's desperate attempts to justify war crimes in Ukraine through this false narrative of denazification, distorting the history of the Holocaust and insulting the memory of the victims. And certainly not when some still in this region and beyond deny Israel's very right to exist. Dear friends, Israel celebrates its 75 years. It's a milestone moment. We have seen in the last years that even in the most challenging circumstances, progress is possible in ways one considered almost utopian. The Abrahamic Accords have fostered this unprecedented historic cooperation between Israel and a number of Arab neighbors. The normalization of relations is a fundamental development for regional peace and stability. And we, as European Union, will continue to support and contribute this process. We have scaled up funding to support trilateral projects between the EU, Israel, and Arab partner countries. And we are heavily engaged, for instance, with Israel and Morocco for trilateral projects in the field of water management. Europe and Israel are bound to be not only allies, but also friends. We are bound by history, we are bound by geography and shared interest in the Mediterranean. The world's longest and deepest underwater power cable will soon be connecting Israel with Cyprus and Greece. We are bound by our culture, the values we share, and we will continue to underpin our relations, those of an open, democratic, and rule of law-based society. Just 1 year ago, our president, Ursula von der Leyen, speaking at the Ben Gurion University, spoke of the unprecedented challenges that our democracies face in Europe, in Israel, in the United States, as in every democracy in the world, upholding the rule of law requires constant work. And I believe in the strong foundations of our democracies and their power to overcome these challenges. Renewing democracy, it's not easy, but it's vital. And because democracies offer the environment in which nations prosper, we have a common duty to nourish this vital democratic link between our countries. EU-Israel cooperation on innovation, on research and education is a prime example of that, having grown in strides over the past 20 years. We now have flagship programs. Our Innovation Horizon program and Student Mobility Erasmus programs have supported exchanges, mobility, and groundbreaking research in areas as diverse as health, climate change, and cyber technology. I will be visiting Beersheba tomorrow, on Tuesday, to speak directly with researchers and students that make change happen, one project at a time, and I remain convinced that the best investment we can make is in our people. And with this year being the European Year of Skills, I see an opportunity for the EU and Israel to engage on skills, innovation, training, learning in a more structured way through a regular dialogue based on those priorities and targeting our young citizens. Dear friends, let me leave you by reaffirming that Israel is probably one of the most European-minded countries outside of Europe. A true friend, a real partner, an ally, not only on major issues, but also on the fundamentals that underpin our society, on the model of society we stand for. Our friendship is grounded in our history, but guided by our shared vision of the future. Thank you very much.